In Montreal, the Centre for the Prevention of Radicalization leading to Violence is running a program unique in Canada. We sent our producer, Jonathan Pierce, to find out more about it.
The Centre for the Prevention of Radicalization leading to Violence is the first of its kind in North America. Created in 2015 with funding from the City of Montreal and the Quebec government, the Centre provides support to individuals who may be susceptible to the phenomenon of violent radicalization.
It's when violence is becoming a legitimate way to actually defend what you believe in that radicalization is becoming an issue, because you are actually legitimizing violence, which is something that we cannot actually have in a democratic society. Radicalization is very often connected to what's happening at the local context. So the debates in the Quebec society are not the same that the one happening in UK or in France, for example. And if you don't understand how the Quebec debates are actually kind of having an impact on radicalization phenomena here, you can actually not try to prevent the way the phenomena is actually happening.
Since its inception in 2015, the Centre has received more than 400 requests for help from the public, which includes cases of Islamic radicalization, as well as extreme right and left radicalization and hate speech. With a staff of just over 20 people, the Centre uses a multi-layered approach that involves research, a prevention team that offers workshops and training at schools and other community organizations, as well as a counseling and support team that focuses on the violent radicalization of individuals.
For example, you have a family who has been witnessing some kind of behavioral changes in his son or in his daughter. The first step that we have to do is to actually reassure parents about the fact that maybe what they think is radicalization might not necessarily be radicalization. We try to look at the situation from different angles. So looking at the vulnerabilities of the person, looking at the behaviors, the way the behaviors of the person has changed over time, the environment of the person, with who the person is actually associated. From this evaluation, we actually evaluate if there is a need for intervention or not.
There is a lot that goes into an assessment, but there is one thing that usually doesn't: law enforcement.
The idea behind that is to actually help people to have trust, to contact the organization, so they don't fear that if they call us, they might, this might lead to actually someone being surveilled or someone being arrested. It doesn't mean that we have no connection at all with the law enforcement. For example, if in a situation that the Centre can be aware of, we realize that there is a security matter, like a very direct and very immediate security matter, we have no choice actually to refer the case to law enforcement, because it's not anymore a matter of intervention, it's a matter of public safety.
And while it's one thing to help someone here in Canada, it's quite another, Ducol says, to try and help families who want daughters or sons who left to join terrorist groups in Iraq and Syria to come home.
It's kind of a deep sadness and drama for these families, and so it's why we have been having this conversation with them to be able to actually support them. And along this process, we realized, and some of the families told us, that they still had some contact with their kids on the ground. In some cases, the people on the ground are actually looking to maybe come back. There is security issues connected to the fact that some people who have been traveling to Syria want to actually come back here in Canada. And we have to actually be clear about the security challenges that these individuals can represent for our society. But at the same time, just saying that we need to be tough on them doesn't really solve any issue in terms of how are we going to reintegrate them in our society.